Back in the 1960s, muscle cars weren't just fast, they were dangerous. Built to dominate the streets, these beasts turned into uncontrollable missiles in the wrong hands. One wrong move, you're in a ditch. Or worse. From twin-supercharged Cobras to sleeper sedans with drag strip power, these machines demanded respect and punished anyone who got cocky. Fire up the engines. Here are 10 of the most dangerous muscle cars ever unleashed on American roads. Number 10. 1969 AMC AMX 390. AMC wasn't the first name in muscle, but the 1969 AMX 390 proved they could build something both exciting and dangerous. A compact two-seater muscle car with a 390 cubic inch V8 producing 315 horsepower. The AMX was lighter and smaller than most of its competitors, but that size worked against it when it came to high-speed stability. The short wheelbase made it twitchy in corners, especially at speed. Some models came without a limited slip differential, which only made oversteer more sudden and harder to correct. It had strong acceleration and good power to weight, but poor weight distribution and early suspension technology made it a high-risk ride in the wrong hands. The AMX 390 might not be as well known as its big three rivals, but it was every bit as wild, and potentially more dangerous if you underestimated it. Number 9. 1966 Chevrolet Chevel SS396. The Chevel SS396 was one of Chevrolet's best-selling muscle cars, and for good reason. With a 396 cubic inch V8 producing up to 375 horsepower, it was quick off the line and aggressive on the street. But for all that power, it still had basic drum brakes, a loose suspension, and a tendency to lift the front end under acceleration, making steering unpredictable. The Chevel looked menacing and sounded even better, but it punished any lack of focus. Brake fade was common after just a few hard stops, and the floaty suspension made tight corners feel like a guessing game. Power was easy to get, but control, that was the real challenge. Driving it fast required nerves of steel and a steady hand. Number 8. 1964 Pontiac GTO, the car that started it all. The Pontiac GTO is often called the first true muscle car, packing a 389 cubic inch V8 engine with up to 348 horsepower in tri-power setup. The GTO could hit 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, impressive for its time. But it was also known for handling issues, especially under hard acceleration. The rear axle was notorious for wheel hop, and braking performance was questionable due to all drum setups. Most GTOs didn't come with power steering or brakes unless you paid extra. That meant anyone who jumped behind the wheel expecting an easy ride was in for a brutal wake-up call. It was the muscle car blueprint, all go, no stop, and it earned its reputation as both a legend and a handful to drive. Number 7. 1966 Plymouth Satellite. The 1966 Plymouth Satellite was often overshadowed by its more famous Mopar siblings, but when fitted with the legendary 426 Hemi V8, it became a legitimate street menace. With 425 horsepower and nearly 500 pound-feet of torque, this unassuming mid-size coupe could outrun just about anything on the road, but not without serious consequences. Handling was a mixed bag, thanks to a heavy front end and soft rear suspension, and braking performance lagged behind its ability to accelerate. The bias-ply tires provided little grip under stress, making high-speed driving a gamble. Its sheer power was often too much for the average driver, and the manual transmission made it even more challenging to handle. It was fast, raw, and lacking in forgiveness. A muscle car with the heart of a beast and the safety of a slingshot. Number 6. 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. Created to dominate NASCAR, the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona was a marvel of aerodynamics and a nightmare on the streets. Powered by the 426 Hemi V8, producing 425 horsepower, the Daytona was the first car to break 200 miles per hour in NASCAR competition. It featured a pointed aerodynamic nose cone and a massive 23-inch rear wing. But while this setup made it fast on ovals, it made everyday driving awkward and even dangerous. The car was over 18 feet long, with a massive front end that made tight turns and parking nearly impossible. Visibility was terrible and weight distribution was poor. Despite its performance pedigree, the Daytona had the same traction and braking issues as other muscle cars of the era. It was a race car in street clothing, thrilling but incredibly hard to control if you weren't a pro. Number 5. 1966 Chevrolet Biscayne L72. The 1966 Chevrolet Biscayne with the L72 427 V8 was the ultimate sleeper, a plain-looking full-size car that could outrun most of its flashy competitors. Its 427 cubic inch engine produced 425 horsepower and was pulled straight from Chevrolet's high-performance lineup. What made it dangerous wasn't just the raw speed, but the fact that it came with almost no performance upgrades, no sway bars, no power steering, and basic drum brakes meant the car handled like a tank. At nearly 3,800 pounds, this big-body sedan could fly in a straight line, but was difficult to slow down or steer in emergency situations. It was marketed as a budget-friendly performer, but in reality, it was a street-legal dragster with zero safety nets, deadly in the wrong hands and thrilling for those who who could tame it. Number 4. 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. Built to meet NASCAR homologation rules, the 1969 Boss 429 was Ford's attempt to blend racing tech into a street-legal muscle car. Its 429 cubic inch V8 was rated at 375 horsepower, but likely made well over 500. The massive engine was so large that Ford had to rework the Mustang's entire front suspension and shock towers just to fit it. Despite the brute strength, the car was known for being front-heavy and slow to respond in corners. It suffered from significant understeer and lacked the braking power needed to handle its top-end speed. With a high revving power band and minimal low-end torque, it wasn't easy to drive unless you kept your foot down, which made it all the more dangerous. It looked like a street machine, but it was really a detuned race car waiting to punish the unskilled. Number 3. 1968 Dodge Charger RT. The 1968 Dodge Charger RT, equipped with the 426 Hemi, was as menacing in performance as it was in looks. Under its aggressive exterior sat Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi V8 engine, producing 425 horsepower and a thunderous 490 pound-feet of torque. This engine was designed for NASCAR dominance, not for everyday driving, and made the Charger a rocket on wheels. But it also weighed over 4,000 pounds and had poor weight distribution, which made handling unpredictable, especially in corners. Rear-wheel drive and skinny bias ply tires meant it had a tendency to slide or fishtail with little warning. And despite all its power, the Charger came with outdated drum brakes that were prone to fade under pressure. In the hands of an amateur, it was a recipe for disaster, a car that could outrun its own stopping ability. Number 2. 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The 1969 Camaro ZL1 is one of the most dangerous sleepers of the muscle car era. Hidden beneath its understated body was an all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8 engine, originally developed for drag racing. Officially rated at 430 horsepower, the real output exceeded 550 horsepower, making this one of the most powerful factory Camaros ever built. Weighing about 3,300 pounds, it delivered shocking straight-line speed. But the basic suspension, drum brakes, and skinny tires made controlling that power nearly impossible on regular roads. Only 69 were made under Chevy's secret COPO program, which bypassed corporate rules against installing such massive engines. With no traction control, limited grip, and a chassis not meant for that level of power, the ZL1 was a car that could break records, and break you if you weren't careful. Number 1. 1966 Shelby Cobra 427 Super Snake. Carroll Shelby's 1966 Cobra 427 Super Snake wasn't built to drive, it was built to scare. Nicknamed the Cobra to end all Cobras, this wasn't just a muscle car, it was Carroll Shelby's personal attempt at creating an uncontrollable beast. Equipped with a twin-supercharged 427 cubic inch V8, this Cobra pumped out over 800 horsepower. That's more than most race cars today, in a car that weighed just 2,400 pounds. With no safety features, no electronic aids, and barely any tire grip, the Super Snake could hit 0 to 60 in just 3.2 seconds. Only 2 were built. One was destroyed in a crash, and the other sold for $5.5 million. Known for its explosive acceleration, the Cobra was nearly uncontrollable at full throttle. Even seasoned drivers found it difficult to handle at high speeds. The sheer torque could twist the frame, and the lack of modern tires or suspension technology meant traction was more theoretical than real. It wasn't just a car, it was a rocket with a steering wheel. And there you have it, 10 of the most dangerous muscle cars to ever tear up the streets of the 1960s. These weren't just machines, they were raw, mechanical predators from a time when speed reigned and safety took a back seat. Which one surprised you the most? Or did we miss a beast that deserves a spot on the list? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more high-octane history.